Jack Williams lived in a luxurious mansion on Willow Street. His father, Richard Williams, was a successful businessman, one of those men who believed money bought everything: respect, power, even people. Jack's mother, Victoria, was elegant, polished, and deeply protective of the family's reputation in society. She believed that people should stay in their place, and that mixing with those below their social class was a threat to her comfort. Jack had everything a boy could dream of: a huge bedroom, a personal gaming setup, private tutors, a family car for every occasion, vacations in Europe every summer. But the one thing he didn't have was true friendship. Most kids at school wanted to be around Jack because of his money, his family status, or because they wanted favors. Jack could feel it. None of them were real. A few blocks away, on the other side of the same town, lived Mark Coleman. Mark's world was different, very different. He lived with his father in a small, run-down apartment. The paint on the door was peeling, the lights sometimes flickered, and the heater worked only half the time. His father, Mr. Coleman, worked two jobs, one at a warehouse and one at a gas station, to keep food on the table. Life was hard, but their home was rich in something money couldn't buy: love. Mark didn't have new clothes, new shoes, or the latest phone. What he did have was kindness, wisdom, and a heart bigger than any mansion. At school, people didn't see that. They saw only his skin color and his poverty. One rainy afternoon, everything changed. Jack was leaving school when a group of older boys shoved him near the gate. "Rich boy!" one yelled, grabbing his backpack. "Let's see what he's hiding inside." Jack tried to walk away, but one of them pushed him hard. His bag fell, spilling his books into a puddle. Just when things were about to get worse, someone stepped forward. It was Mark. "Hey!" he shouted. "Leave him alone!" The older boys laughed. "And what are you gonna do?" one sneered. Mark didn't back down. "Try me." Something in his eyes made the bullies hesitate. They walked away, cursing under their breath. Jack stood there, shocked. You helped me?" he asked. Mark shrugged. "Yeah. Look, trouble finds me every day. But today, I thought I'd save someone else from it." Jack smiled. For the first time in a long while, someone was kind to him without expecting anything. That day, the two boys walked home together. They talked about school, games, dreams, fears, and even though they came from different worlds, they connected like brothers. A friendship had begun. Weeks passed. Jack and Mark became inseparable. They studied together, played basketball, worked on school projects, and shared lunch. One day, Jack said excitedly, "Come over to my house today. You've helped me so much, I want you to see where I live." Mark hesitated. "Jack, your house is different from mine." Jack smiled. "So what? You're my friend. That's all that matters." Mark nodded slowly. "Okay, I'll come." That evening, they walked together to Jack's neighborhood, where lawns were trimmed like carpets, cars sparkled like mirrors, and houses looked like mini palaces. Mark had never been in such a place. His shoes felt out of place. His clothes felt out of place. Even his heartbeat felt out of place. Jack opened the door happily. "Come on in." But the moment they stepped inside, a voice shouted, "Jack, who is that?"
Victoria Williams, with perfect makeup and cold eyes, stood at the staircase. Behind her came Richard Williams, stiff and intimidating. Mark quickly lowered his eyes. Jack smiled nervously. "Mom, Dad, this is my friend, Mark." Silence. A heavy, suffocating silence. Richard stepped closer, looking Mark up and down. Then came the words that sliced the moment in half. "We don't bring people like him inside this house." Mark froze. His face turned pale with embarrassment. Jack shook his head in disbelief. "Dad, no, he's my friend." Victoria's voice was sharp. "Jack, take him outside, now. This is not the place for someone like him." Mark swallowed, trying not to show how deeply the words hurt. His hands trembled. He whispered, "It's okay. I understand. I shouldn't be here." Jack grabbed his arm. "No, you're staying!" Richard yelled, "Jack, if you don't take him out right now, both of you get out!" Mark stepped back instantly, his chest tightening. "Jack, I don't want you to get in trouble because of me," he said softly. Jack's mother crossed her arms. "This is what happens when you make friends outside your class." Mark looked at the floor, holding back tears, and whispered, "I'm sorry. I'll go." He walked out slowly. Jack called after him, "Mark, wait!" But the door closed with a sound that cut like a knife.
That night, Jack argued with his parents. "You embarrassed me in front of my friend," he shouted. "He saved me. He's a good person." Richard slammed his hand on the table. "You don't understand the world, Jack. People like him don't belong in our circle." Jack's voice cracked. "You're wrong. Mark has a bigger heart than both of you." Victoria gasped. "How dare you speak to us like that?" But Jack had made up his mind. He ran out of the house and headed straight to Mark's building. Mark was sitting outside, alone on the stairs, staring at the ground. Jack approached slowly. "Mark?" Mark didn't look up. "You shouldn't be here." Jack sat next to him. "I don't care what my parents said. I care about what you did for me. I care about who you are, not the color of your skin and not the house you live in." Mark's voice was shaky. "They made me feel like I was dirt, Jack, like I shouldn't be near you." Jack looked at him with pain in his eyes. "They made me feel ashamed, not of you, but of them." Mark finally looked up. His eyes were wet. "Do you know what it feels like to always be judged by your skin, by your father's paycheck, by things you never chose?" Jack shook his head softly. "No, but I want to understand. I want to learn." Mark exhaled deeply. "Then stay my friend, even when the world doesn't want us to be." Jack nodded. "I promise." They shook hands. Two different skin tones, one identical heartbeat. But news travels fast. At school, people whispered. Some mocked Jack for having a black friend. Others mocked Mark for being a charity case. Teachers noticed. Neighbors whispered. Jack's parents became furious. Richard tried to ground Jack. Victoria took away his phone. But nothing worked. The more they tried to keep the boys apart, the stronger their bond grew. One evening, Jack returned home to find both parents waiting. His father spoke coldly. "We made a decision. You will not see that boy again." Jack felt something break inside him. "No," he said quietly, "that's not your choice." Richard's face turned red. You are a child. I'm a human, and so is Mark. Victoria tried a softer tone. Jack, honey, you're putting our reputation at risk. Jack stared at her. Then your reputation is trash. Richard raised his hand, but stopped when he saw the fire in his son's eyes. Jack walked away, leaving his parents speechless. That night, Jack packed a small bag and walked out. He went straight to Mark's apartment. When Mark saw him, he froze. What happened? Jack took a deep breath. I left home. Mark was shocked. No, Jack, you didn't have to. Jack interrupted. Yes, I did, because I'd rather live in a place with no money than live in a mansion with no humanity. Mark didn't know whether to cry or hug him. Mr. Coleman came out of the apartment. He looked at Jack, then at his small backpack. Did your parents kick you out, son? He asked gently. No, sir. I walked out myself. Mr. Coleman sighed deeply. Come inside, son. You can stay here tonight. Jack stepped into a small, warm home filled with love, not luxury. And for the first time, he felt truly welcome.
The next morning, something unexpected happened. Richard and Victoria arrived at the Coleman home. Richard looked angry at first, but Victoria was crying. Jack, she said softly, we're sorry. Jack stood still. Sorry? For what? For insulting Mark? His father? His home? Victoria wiped her tears. For judging people we never tried to understand. Richard exhaled deeply. Son, you leaving the house made us realize maybe we failed somewhere. Jack didn't reply. Richard turned to Mark and Mr. Coleman. I'm sorry. Truly. I was wrong. Mr. Coleman nodded graciously. Apology accepted. Then Richard said something no one expected. Mark, if you are willing, you're welcome in our home any time. Mark looked at Jack. Jack smiled. A bridge had finally been built. Months passed. Jack and Mark remained best friends. Their families began to understand each other, and the town slowly saw a change as well. People who once whispered began to admire the boys. Schools invited them to speak about friendship. Community centers shared their story, and children from all races played together more freely. Jack learned humility. Mark learned confidence. Both learned courage. Together, they proved something powerful. Skin has color. Humanity does not. In a world divided by race, class, money, and status, sometimes it takes two children to teach the adults what love really means. Jack and Mark showed the world that friendship isn't black and white. It's a color the heart can see.